Good afternoon from the Circus Sports of the Make Kentucky Down studio. I'm Ross Johnston. Vol basketball got their second straight SEC win last night, beating Georgia in overtime 86-85. Jacoby Gillespie and Nate Ament led the way with 21 and 19 points respectively. The Vols will host Auburn on Saturday in Knoxville. Also, in case you missed it, the Titans made a few hires on the offensive staff yesterday. Former Giants QB coach Shea Tierney will join the Titans in the same role. Former Chiefs and Ravens receiver coach Greg Lewis will be the new receiver coach in Nashville, and former Giants offensive line coach Carmen Brasillo will be the Titans' new offensive line coach. Robert Saleh's introductory press conference will begin today at 2 p.m. We will broadcast it live here during Cover 2 on Zone TV, and if you are unable to watch it on there, you will be able to listen via radio here on 104.5 The Zone. For all your foundation repair waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Welcome into Cover 2, brought to you by All Four Seasons Garage Doors, right here on 104.5 The Zone. I'm Joe Spinano, live with you today as Zach Lyons is down in Mobile for the Senior Bowl this week. Alongside me is the always fantastic hitman, Blaine Bishop. And today is Robert Saleh Day, the day Titans fans have been waiting on. You're finally going to get to hear from the new Titans head coach. That press conference coming up in about 57 minutes. We will have that live for you right here on 104.5 The Zone as soon as that becomes live and the head coach starts to address the media for the first time. Blaine, how are you doing on this kind of sunny Thursday? It's been maybe a little clouded out there, but sun starting to peek through a little bit after this winter storm.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I mean, man, I'm just happy, we're starting to get back to normalcy, at least on the outskirts of downtown, not necessarily all in downtown, but every time I come in town, it's kind of a rude awakening. Like, man, we're still a little bit behind there with the lines and the trees down and everything else. So let's finish this off, and then hopefully that'll be the end of it. But I don't know. You're the weatherman. Is some flurries supposed to come in this weekend?
You know what?
Somebody told me that. I don't know who told me that. I don't think it was either one of you guys.
I just saw the temperature is supposed to dip again. Like the wind chill is going to be very bad on Saturday, but I don't know about precipitation at all.
Okay.
I did see a report that maybe some snow flurries coming in
like
Sunday, Monday, Sunday night, Monday morning. But
yeah, that's what we need.
Yeah, no. Let's keep that away. Let's blow that away. You know what? It's we did that, been there, done that. We had the ice, we had the snow, we had kind of all of it. Give Nashville a break. Give Nashville and the rest of Middle Tennessee a break. We're done with the winter weather.
You're such a young guy. Do you remember growing up that you got to miss school because of something like this?
Oh yeah.
You do?
Oh yeah.
All the time.
I remember. And so I'm not like too old enough where they like, because now they just call the parents. They just call the parents,
and you
know way before. I'm still old enough, and I know I'm not super old, but I'm old enough where like you would wake up the morning of school early, and you'd go turn the news on, and you'd watch the ticker to see if they put your county up there.
It's one of the best feelings of all time. I put it up there with a Super Bowl win, to be honest with you.
Yeah, so, okay.
It's up there.
I figured you guys would say that, because naturally you guys, have a certain guy's age. So, but what about those makeup days? So would you rather actually go in and not have to go for these makeup days, which the makeup days are in somewhat, let's say, summer.
But you only get makeup days if you have so many snow days.
Yeah, so
you missed all week. This is considered that.
Yeah, but like you get like 12 days or something like that. It's more than just a week.
Yeah, so you only get the makeup days if you miss. So they have I think all the counties have like an allotment of snow days. Okay, we can miss this amount of time due to weather, snow, etc. without having to do makeup days, and we'll be fine. If you go beyond that, that's when the makeup days come in. I've never actually had to do a makeup day. It kind of been in that situation where like you miss just enough time to be right under the threshold and not have to do any extra school at the end of the year.
Well, I think they should implement and get everybody used to real world, real life, they should do Zoom classes during days missed. Just like you do in college. Yeah. Yeah, how about that, Ross? Yeah, you jumping for joy now?
I ain't got
No, Blake, why would you do that? Because the kids
I need to talk to the administrators.
The kids need to know the feeling of waking up on a random Tuesday, Wednesday morning, looking outside their bedroom window, seeing the ground covered in that beautiful white powdery snow, and then go run on the TV and you see your county just flash across the ticker, and you know, man, I've got the day. I'm gonna dress up in my warmest clothes. I'm gonna go outside, build a snowman, snowball fights, get friends from the neighborhood. I mean, that's one of the best feelings.
You can still do all of that with Zoom. It would be like only 2 hours of the day.
No,
I would not.
no, it's still too much.
I would not do school in Blaine's district. I would go to it. I would transfer.
What?
Because you can do that
Man,
now.
we're just encouraging softness.
I'll leave that to you in your school district. I'll stay in my school district, and we won't have any Zoom on snow days. We'll enjoy it. But one thing that
Tweet that out, man. That should be a great question. Should kids get to do Zoom classes that they miss
on snow days?
On snow days, yeah. I think we should put that out. We got a debate about this during the break.
I can already feel like the overwhelming no on that. Probably, I'm going to guess 96 to 4%.
Oh, man.
If I had to guess what that would be.
Yeah, I think they should say then. If not, you can make it up, in like June 14th through the whatever date. Yeah, and see how you like that in the summertime.
Yeah, no, I think they'd rather actually do the Zoom at that point.
Man.
I don't want to interrupt the summer.
Did we get a caller on this or something, or did they just hang
I'll
up?
check.
You didn't even want to check about that.
Well,
man,
Ross
come on. This is much more funner than talking about, Salah's going to do his introductory press conference. And we're going to play it at 2.
Well, Ross is screening the phone calls that we're getting in, which you can call 615-737-1045. We'd love to have you in as we preview the Robert Saleh introductory press conference here on 104.5 The Zone. Let's go ahead and go to Dustin in the borough. Dustin, what you got for me?
As a teacher, we are not Zooming.
There you go.
Oh, man, that's a tougher from home. You can't do it from home?
No. I enjoy my snow days just like my students do.
Oh, man, you got 6 months of whatever it is. I don't know. What's how many days or months are you guys off in the summertime?
We're off for 8 to 9 weeks. But
8 to 9 weeks. Yeah.
But in between the number of professional developments we have to attend and work and everything else, it's not what you think.
Yeah,
Dustin,
no doubt.
my dad's a teacher, so I kind of know what that perspective is. But tell us, we know what the students and what the kids' perspective is on snow days. But as a teacher, what is your view on snow days when you wake up in the morning and you see that your county is going to be out for a day or two?
Oh, it's the best feeling.
It's joy. In the world. Yeah,
it is. Now I can tell you, like when I grew up. Like, it was the same thing. You woke up in the morning, you looked across the news channel at the bottom, you saw your county scroll across there, and you're, like, jumping for joy, and then you went back to bed. Now, 3 days ahead of time that I'm out Friday, and it takes all that joy out of it. I mean, don't get me wrong, you're still happy to be out.
But it takes, like, the surprise of everything.
The shock is not there.
It's like a Christmas morning feeling that's just,
That's a good way to put it, because with the snow, Christmas morning feeling. Thank you, Dustin.
Yeah.
I appreciate the input from a teacher there. So, see, Blaine, even a teacher.
The teachers are, yeah.
Even a teacher doesn't want to do Zoom.
Man, I know they have to do it from their living room or something crazy. That would be interesting in itself, having a board up and just being creative, trying to keep the kids engaged mentally. Because when you go back after being off of a week, now we have to start like it was summertime and starting school all over again. Everybody's in there chitter-chatting, catching up with lost time and everything else. So, yeah, man, we got to get them back, man. They should just go to class tomorrow. Friday. Just make them go one day. That makes so much sense. One day.
Let's go back to the phones. Joe, you're on with Cover 2. What's up?
Oh, man.
Oh, man, Brian, you done opened up a can of worms. Dude,
Hey, my son's a teacher, and they still do work, even when school's in the house. They still do work on the weekends. So, I mean, during the day and stuff. But my point is this. During COVID, a lot of kids got left behind trying to do things online and not having that one-on-one kind of a deal with the teachers. On that perspective of it, it's kind of rough. It really was. But anyway, I don't know, James, they can say what you want to about the teachers. You can't get through to them, but it all comes down to the household also. But if you don't have a parent there because a lot of times, like I said, the parents are there with the kid on snow days. Sometimes yes, sometimes no, they got to work. And you're trusting your child to do that work. Yeah. Maybe it don't get done sometimes, but that's just input from me, man. Take care. Y'all have a great day.
Appreciate
Great show, dude.
Appreciate you, Joe.
Maybe someone should ask Coach Salah that today at the press conference.
Yeah.
Right now.
Yeah. Well, he's got 8 kids.
You've been in New York, New Jersey. Would you allow your kids to be out of school right now, or would you want them doing Zoom? I bet he would say say no Zoom.
Well, you think they're out of school today to come to his press conference?
Of course they are. There's more.
I think there's snow days there. Is it bad there?
I would assume he's in San Francisco. He's been in San Francisco this year, so I don't think they get a lot of snow. I don't think they get a lot of snow days in San Francisco, if I had to guess.
No, not too much. So that means they missed school today. See, for a good reason.
You know what? It's a good reason because Robert Saleh is going to be introduced as the Tennessee Titans' next head coach. That coming up at 2:00. We will play it live for you right here on Cover 2 on 104.5 The Zone. So stay tuned for that. But when we come back, the Titans made a couple of reported hires on their offensive staff after the announcement of Brian Daboll as their offensive coordinator. We'll take a look at who they brought in, and we'll also get your thoughts on what you guys want to hear from Robert Saleh in his introductory press conference. Again, coming up at 2:00. You can call us at 615-737-1045 and share what you want to hear from the head coach. We'll do that next here on 104.5 The Zone.
Well, naturally, with the bad weather, all of us sitting inside, and I tell you one thing, man, I've been eating up a storm, man, eating up every little snack and cranny we have in the house. Not wanting to go out in the snow. Yeah, like everybody's at home. So now the food is gone, and now your belly is telling you, it's time to get up off the couch and get to work and get some of these LBs off. So the approach to weight loss at Edge Peptide to get those LBs off and hormone therapy is a little bit different. They make sure all the patients have extensive lab work and face-to-face conversations in office with your nurse practitioner to create a customized treatment plan tailored to your specific needs. They use only U.S.-based FDA-audited compounding pharmacies because knowing where your peptides come from always matters. You also get to enjoy access to their in-body scanner to track weight loss, as well as making sure that you're maintaining the proper muscle mass that you have gained. As well as Edge always uses the lowest effective doses to make sure that you are resetting your metabolic flexibility, not starving yourself like a lot of people do, which they shouldn't be doing. You also get to lower your A1C, keeping your cravings in check, prioritizing protein, and having someone guide your journey from start to finish. So call the team at Edge Peptide for all your wellness questions at 615, of course, 724-1878. That's 724-1878. Or you can check them out online at edgepeptide.com.
Yo, it's Zach Lyons. If you wear glasses, you already know the struggle. I'm constantly looking for them, waking up blind without them, knocking them off the nightstand. Don't even get me started on vacations. Swimming? Forget it. Fogging up, smudges, scratches. My whole day revolves around these things so that I can see. And the truth is, I've been dealing with blurry vision for years. Glasses help, but they're also a hassle. And lately, I have been seriously thinking there has to be a better way. That's when I started hearing from colleagues here at Cumulus who had vision correction done by Dr. Horn at Vision for Life. And every single one of them said the same thing. They wish they had done it sooner. So I did my homework, I read the reviews, and decided it was time. I'm going to have my vision corrected by Dr. Horn, and I'll walk you guys through the experience step by step before, during, and after. If you're tired of dealing with glasses, contacts, or blurry vision, don't keep putting it off. Call Vision for Life at 615-436-2020 or visit visionforlife.com to schedule your consultation. I'll keep you posted, and trust me, I'm excited to finally see clearly.
Welcome back into Cover 2 on 104.5 The Zone. I'm Joseph Bonanno alongside the hitman Blaine Bishop, live from the Circus Sports Studios. Circus Sports, the Kentucky's largest sport book, can be found at the Mint Kentucky Downs. Blaine.
Just got off the Zoom with school and everything, and they are trying to figure out how to implement that into, they said, no days off.
No days off.
So Ross is really perturbed by this.
Yeah, you just ruined Ross. Snow days for Ross.
Yeah,
he's never gonna recover from
just
that.
kidding.
I had some great ones.
Before we move into our topic of this segment, let's go ahead and go back to the phone, 615-737-1045. John in Clarksville. John, what you got for us?
Hey, guys. Talking about snow days. In my sophomore year in high school, we did not go to school the entire month of January and the first 2 weeks of February.
Really?
It was awful. Oh, it was awful. And
Oh, wow.
but thing about it was, my family, we had farming to do as far as messing with chickens and things like that. And we had to move those suckers all the time. Oh, it was miserable. Miserable.
Oh, so you would have rather been back at school, huh?
Oh, gosh, yes.
Well, he had to work. Because if it was either school or work.
Yeah.
All day.
Oh, wow.
Anytime. But, yeah. We like I said, we didn't go back till the middle of February that year.
Man, that was
It was miserable.
Yeah. Yeah, I did ask the question
Have a
like,
good one.
Wow.
Wow. Well, John, you know what? Some people had to do that. Some people had to, on the snow days, their only option was not, hey, you got a day off. It's, hey, you got to help out and you got to go out there and work.
In this case, it's going to be a week off, right?
Yeah, I think a week.
No, all jokes aside, you know what I always think about when school is out is, the parents that can't afford to have someone watch your kids. So now you're in a predicament. Either you take off, you have family members come and take care of the kids, or siblings take care of one another. That was always like a weird dynamic there, being that I was a only kid there in Indiana. And sometimes you got to say, I can't miss work, so you're going to have to stay inside.
Mm-hmm.
You can't go outside because you're not supposed to be at home by yourself.
Especially if you got younger siblings you got to take care of.
Yeah, that's a little different what you had to do.
Yeah.
I did not have to do that, at least at the times when we were snowed in.
So yesterday, which is a day after Brian Dable, like table, still learning on this show, was announced as offensive coordinator. We heard of a couple of names that are starting to come out about who's joining the Titans offensive staff connected to Dable. And a lot of these guys coming from his time in New York with the Giants. So the first report was for offensive line coach Carmen Bracillo, who was in New York. And the reaction that I saw from not only Titans fans, but certain national media was this was a really big get for Tennessee. Obviously had some work with the Giants, work with the Raiders, and seems like a lot of people hold what this guy does on the offensive line in high regards. The other coach was a quarterback's coach in Shea Tierney, who we heard Zach actually mention both these guys when we talked with him live from the Senior Bowl yesterday. He's going to come over in the same position he was with New York as the quarterback's coach. The third hire that was reported was today. I think this one was from Jordan Schultz. It's wide receiver coach Greg Lewis, who has spent a lot of his time with Kansas City. I know he was with Kansas City from 2017 to 2022. So he's had some work with Tyreek Hill and some of those Kansas City wide receivers. So those are
he was actually a guy that got drafted, as I recall, by the Eagles in there, and
that's right,
Andy Reid, and
back in 2003.
Blaine, do you remember the iconic play?
By the way,
do you remember the iconic play Greg Lewis had?
I thought it was with the Vikings.
Yes, sir. Hail Mary with Favre in the back of the end zone. Greg Lewis.
Yeah, go do some homework there, Luke. Yeah. So this guy's not only was a really good player because he started, been a really good coach. I didn't even know he was in coaching, actually, to be honest. So I had no idea.
Yeah,
and I'm not familiar with any of those other guys too, like their history and bounced around. Were they any of them with Alabama?
So I believe that Shea Tierney was at Alabama,
which he coaches
in 2016, 2017. He was an offensive analyst at Alabama, which is when Brian Dable was there as the offensive coordinator, I believe.
Okay.
I think because that was 2017 was the Jalen Hurts freshman year, I believe. Let me double check on that. But basically, a lot of these guys have, outside of I would have to see what Greg Lewis's connection to Dable is. But the offensive line coach, Carmen Brasillo and Shea Tierney, who have followed Dable to New York, are following him to Tennessee. So kind of building an offensive staff that's got some of that chemistry and some of that relationship that we talked about yesterday already forming there. I'm interested to see who else that they bring in, if we get some more Dable connections or if we get some outside guys, because I know we talked about it yesterday, and I know a lot of Titans fans have it on their mind that if this works out like it's that everyone wants it to, best case scenario, that Dable is probably going to be a guy in the head coaching cycle in 2027. So is this a situation where if he does leave after 1 year where you're going to have to replace a whole nother offensive staff, and that's another coaching cycle or another round of hires that Robert Saleh is going to make? But if we remember from the reporting when Saleh got hired, he came in with a surefire plan of if that were to happen, if they were to lose his first OC after a year or two.
Yeah, well, I know everybody get caught. So I don't. I could care less. All you know what I care about is this year. And guess what? You plan for that once you hire and you groom and maybe have someone. Maybe one of those guys will be eventually a play caller that's on staff, or you have someone in the works that you personally hire. Maybe it's an office of assistant. It kind of sits up there and kind of used to be a play caller. Maybe he's been out of the league a couple years, somebody you trust, and that way you have a security blanket. So, but you worry about that when it happens. Right now, we're not even got the whole staff together. Mm-hmm. So obviously you got to think about the long-term and the short-term plan. So, I think we got to just, as fans, we just got to be happy with where we're at and just kind of let it keep plugging on. Actually, do they even need to hire anyone else on offense? By the way, as far as position groups, because I feel like they've got hired.
They're keeping right? Stalker and Randy Jordan, right?
Right. Yeah, so that's your tight ends and your running backs. You have your wide receiver,
obviously like
quarterback,
assistants,
like
assistants.
But I'm talking about
main position coaches. I think they're covered.
Yeah. And defensively, not so fast, my friend.
I think the only hire they've made defensively is Aaron Whitecotton, or the only reported hire is Aaron Whitecotton, the defensive line coach, and they're
right.
Odin at cornerback, passing game coordinator, right?
I believe so, yeah.
And I think those are the only two, because remember, they still have not hired a defensive coordinator yet. Now, yes, Robert Saleh is calling the plays, but the DC is still an important job because as head coach, Saleh is not always going to be with the defense. He's going to have to go check in on the offense, check in on the special teams, and so he's going to need a guy in that defensive coordinator spot to be his right-hand man. Did you ever have in your time playing, a head coach that called defensive plays, and so your defensive coordinator was more of a right-hand man to that head coach? Stefanski was able to keep him on staff when he was hired. So this will be an interesting... I'm curious to hear from him today on how he'll handle that as a head coach, calling plays and doing the head coach duty, especially because of what we saw with Brian Callahan. Now, the difference between Saleh and Callahan is Saleh's called plays before defensively as a defensive coordinator. When Callahan came in, he had never called plays as an offensive coordinator with the Bengals. So I don't know how easier that makes the job of calling plays while being a head coach, but it could be something I'm interested in hearing him talk about with the media today.
Yeah, I think you should. The question should be, why did you do it there with the Jets, and why did you come back now and want to be the play caller as well as the head coach? Just when it went into that whole process. And I think he's going to say that he's more engaged. And I use the term easier. I think it's a little bit easier, especially if you don't have a background of doing a lot of head coaching, calling plays. Defensively, I think just because of the play call, all you got to do is look at the play call sheets of the offensive coordinators who call plays and the head coach, and the defensive coordinator who's the head coach as well. Their sheets are a little bit like you can unfold it out of your pocket. Mm-hmm. A little bit different, not as long-winded. Not to say that it's easier using a term like that, but I would say I think you can manage a little bit easier just because you're also really intertwined with the special teams. A lot more so, especially the players as well. So, it's catch-22, but I don't think it'll be that much different for a guy who's experienced in the league calling plays.
Is there anything else that you're looking for the Titans media corps that is in attendance at this press conference to ask? Anything that you want to know about Robert Saleh that you're hoping to hear when we hear him speak at 2:00?
First and foremost, what do you want the identity of your team to be? Really, I think that was never really clearly answered before the last head coach. So yeah, that's probably really, and then how will you implement that and over time and get it up to speed immediately come first game. So that's really in generally all I would. I would ask him some personal questions too.
Get to know him a little bit.
Yeah, some people think it's null and void, but I was like, oh man, you have 8 kids. That's awesome, man. That is pretty unique. How do you manage work-life balance with 8 kids?
It's important.
Mm-hmm.
It is important.
Yeah. I wonder if that was part of the conversation. I don't know, but that's pretty impressive. 8 kids, but man. White boy, she's doing a lot at the house, man. Have you ever cut your grass there, Robert?
You think someone should ask him that? Hey, Robert, you can do your own lawn.
Start a lawnmower. I don't know. Reason why I say that is because I laugh when I hear Nick Saban always says he doesn't even know how to. His wife always says that he doesn't even know how to start up a lawnmower because he never touched one.
When's the last time you made breakfast?
Right, like little just simple things because people, they get paid a lot of money, but man, your life-work balance is pretty tough in that coaching life, man. You better live and die by it or you will not have success. That's just the way it is.
Titan Scott 11 in the FNMA chat says Callahan's identity was having no identity. So for Salah, according to some Titans fans, all you can do is if you just show that you have something, some kind of proof of concept there, I think you're starting off in the right direction. Ross, is there anything you want to hear from the head coach when you hear him speak at 2:00?
I'm interested to hear if he says anything about what he expects, and maybe he might not even know, but what he expects his week to week to look like in terms of spending time with offense and defense. Is he going to leave literally everything on offense to Coach Dable? Or is he going to want to have some input in the meeting rooms or whatever, or with the game plan? Or is he just going to leave, all that to him? Because I think, we talked about it yesterday and Blaine made a good point. Like, you got to have a lot of trust in a position like this with what they're doing. And it seems like Salah does in Coach Dable. But that week to week, like if they're not on the same page with those egos, you worry about it. It could get dicey. So I would like to maybe hear what his plan would be like during the week-to-week structure of practice and meetings and whatnot.
Yeah, that was a big thing that I don't know if a lot of people remember, but Brian Callahan, at the beginning of the 2025 season, going into the preseason, I remember one thing that was asked of like, hey, what's something you learned? What's something you're going to plan on doing different? And he goes, I'm going to spend more time with the other phases of the team. And so it's kind of like, oh man, it's a little eye-opening as the head coach. You were, and I get it, he was calling plays for the first time for the offense. But again, as the head coach, your responsibility is more than just what your position or your side of the ball specialty is. You've got to go through all 3 phases and know every single one of these players. Is what Callahan mentioned, like, hey, like I'm going to spend more time with the defense and the special teams this year. It's like, well, you're already not spending time with them. It's kind of a little worrisome when we heard that from him. And I was like, are you know what you're doing? Are you good?
You think it was worrisome, but what about a guy who said in those meetings, like, you weren't already doing this? Like, I mean, Coach Fisher would randomly show up in different meeting rooms all the time. That was just Andy Reid. I mean, these guys. So that was maybe telling us a little bit, maybe he was a little overwhelmed that first year being the head coach as well as the play caller, because maybe he didn't have as much free time as he thought he was going to be. So, yeah, that was a red flag for me. I think the red flag is a questionable call. I'm like, oh, and you have to make a strategic point if you're an offensive play caller or whatever side of the ball you're on to make sure you're going around and having these relationships and talking to players, especially during the stretch. I was very observant of, I had some great coaches in Fisher and Andy Reid, and they would make sure that they were always talking to, because they were always talking to the guys on the side of the ball that they were part of, offense or defense. They would make sure they would be talking to the other guys that were on the other side of the ball. So you could see them strategically making sure that they had that kind of relationship with the other side of the ball, because they're not spending as much time with them.
I mean, as a head coach, your job is to be.
So where was he when he was observing all these years that he sat there and waited for this opportunity? Most coaches have a notepad because they have to believe they're going to be a head coach. And they talk about, in their notepad, they're talking about all the things, the do's and the don'ts that they want to do. And I mean, that's kind of, if you're prepared, that it should be that simple. And you should be able to pull out the notebook and talk and think about all the things that you're going to do, whether it was some of the things that you liked that certain coaches did or you didn't like. So to me, that should have been a no-brainer. Were you're not observing?
Yeah, and hopefully someone does ask Salah that question today, because I think that is a big point that needs to be heard, and fans that need to hear about that because of how it went down with Callahan.
Oh yeah,
of whether or not, or what his time management will be between the three phases as a defensive specialty guy. So we'll continue to preview this press conference when we come back. We'll take any of your phone calls. If you guys want to tell us what you're expecting to hear or what you want to hear from head coach Robert Saleh when his introductory press conference comes up at 2 o'clock. Again, we'll play that live right here on 104.5 The Zone. We'll be right back.
You might not know this, but there's an auto repair company that pays its mechanics more than any other repair shops that I know of in the area. Hey, it's Blaine Bishop for Eurofix. And why would Eurofix do that? Well, a decent technician can make up to 50, 60 grand a year. And man, a really good, technician can make up to $120,000 a year, really. And a really, really fast technician who's really, really good, let's just say he's an expert at what he does, he's $180,000 a year as a mechanic. And can you believe that? I thought that was like no way, no how. But a lot of people look down on the mechanics, and they shouldn't. A local owner, Aaron Stokes, is an ex-mechanic, and mechanics are what make the world go round, according to Aaron Stokes. And everything out there has to be worked on. This is true. So did you know that Eurofix is not open on the weekends? And you say, well, why is that? Well, because Eurofix wants the kids and the moms and dads and everybody else at home and employees to be together during the weekends and not apart. And Aaron Stokes figured out a long, long time ago, if home life is unhappy, work life will be unhappy as well. So that's why Eurofix is open Monday through Friday and closed during the weekends. And European vehicles fixed at below dealer pricing. And you always get that 3-year, 36,000-mile nationwide warranty on all the repairs Eurofix performs. 5 locations in the state of Tennessee and more to come. And all you have to do is just give them a call at 844-EUROFIX. That's right, 844-EUROFIX, or you can visit them online at myEurofix.com. That's myEurofix.com.
Welcome back into Cover 2. I'm Joseph Bonanno alongside the hitman Blaine Bishop as we close in on our first hour of Cover 2 today, getting closer and closer to Robert Saleh's press conference over there at the facility coming up at 2 o'clock. Again, we'll play that live for you here on 104.5 The Zone. Before we get back into our discussion on what we want to hear from Coach Salah, let's go to the phone, 615-737-1045. We got Ryan in Dixon. Ryan, what's up?
What's up, guys? How are y'all?
Good.
Hey,
how are
what's
you?
going on?
Doing good, man. One question I have for Coach Salah, he's known for his 4-3 base defense.
Mm-hmm.
However, I know with the secondary, and we don't know what's going to happen with Ladarius Sneed. Like, one question I would say, like, what are you going to do to help improve this secondary? And I'll hang up and listen and let you guys talk about it. Thank you guys so much, and tighten up.
Appreciate you, Ryan.
I know, man.
I'm not sure how he would answer that if he were to ask how he'd improve the secondary. Because, I mean, obviously, I guess he could do the cop-out answer, and, we got to wait for the draft and free agency and see how our roster shakes out, which is kind of the only answer you can give in that situation.
Yeah, that's all I was coming about. I don't know what else he can really say. He says, well, you got to continue to evaluate film, but hopefully we can get more pressure on the quarterback. He could say that. That'll help him out a lot, too, as well. But he obviously, Berganzi has had conversation about the holes on the roster, or starting players that should be starters and who probably are more backup players, rotational players. So those are the kind of conversation. I don't know if he'll delve into it deeply, though.
Yeah, and, we do know the secondary, at least at the end of last year, was a major hole, and I think still is.
With the injuries.
With the injuries and, the lack of with the trades, trading Jarvis Brownlee Jr. away, Ladarius Sneed going out, McCurry getting traded away. So I feel like that's more of a question for Berganzi, because you got to get the roster filled out first before you can do the coaching, because you can't really coach if you don't have your roster set how you want it. I mean, you can, but it'd be interesting. I think he'd sidestep that question and defer to gotta wait to see how the draft and free agency shakes out. But I do think asking him about the pass rush and his philosophy his philosophy on how he can generate more pass rush with this group. That would be interesting to hear from him, because I guess that, like you just mentioned, that plays into helping out the secondary, giving them less time to have to cover. I'm interested to see what his thoughts, and I don't know if this question will be asked specifically, but his thoughts on what he was going to do with a guy like T'Vondre Sweat up front, where you can see the potential in a player like that, and what he's going to do to get the most out of someone like T'Vondre Sweat.
Yeah, well, I would say first and foremost, I wouldn't talk about individual players, because I don't think he's probably watched enough film with all players. Now, he has to rely on people telling him certain things. I think that's kind of always, like last year, Sweat had some injury issues, and he never really got healthy until the end there for me. So he wasn't even as good as the player he was the year before. You saw flashes. So we got to say, I would probably answer is, we just got to get him to stay healthy. If he stays healthy, he'll be what he wants to be at that point in time. I would ask him also, he's always had a really good linebackers in his system.
Yeah.
And especially usually elite ones, at least one of them, but all three usually are pretty good. So I'm interested, what does he think he can do with Gray matched up with Barton and maybe James Williams, that nucleus, and what does he think about that, watching film and tape on them, and will they potentially be the guys starting, or do they even fit in what you like to implement? Like, let's just say, let's use Barton. Maybe Barton isn't quite the athlete that needs to be in your system and what you ask out of that guy. So how does that work if one of the guys doesn't fit? What is your perception of these players in your scheme. And, so I'd love to hear that. Especially with all the passing going on, he still kind of leaves 3 linebackers out there. I know a lot of people run the 4-2-5, but he kind of has some athletic linebackers, man. They can run around now.
So I know that was at least for Cedric Gray, his pass coverage was something that kind of was left to be desired last year. And, he was still coming into his own. I think he found himself as a run stopper and a tackling machine for sure. So I'd be interested to see what he says about what Gray and his development in the other parts of his game as a linebacker and coverage and stuff like that. Because I think they have some young pieces like Cedric Gray, like Tavondre Sweat. I'd be interested to see what he says about that core and what he can do to get the most out of them.
Yeah, and then I'd be asking him, how's it coming with, put together the defensive staff, which you would thought would have been a little bit easier seeing that he is a defensive guy. So is he waiting for some people?
I think he's got somebody in mind who I would love.
Must have somebody in mind. Somebody named KJ Wright. Oh, I don't know.
I think he's going to try to get Rutenberg. Falcons linebacker coach, basically Ulbricht's number 1 guy. Yeah. Went with him for the Jets.
Interesting.
Ulbricht's Saleh's guy.
Yeah.
I think I would like that. I think that might be who he's looking at. I don't know, but I wouldn't mind that at all.
He was the linebackers coach with the Falcons last year?
So he's with the Falcons right now, yeah. And then came from the Jets. Basically went with Ulbricht.
So he'd have to give him the title and would be somebody maybe okay with them not calling the plays.
I think it would be because he'd get a promotion still technically and still be able to coach linebackers. So
and then you can kind of groom them to
groom them up.
Interesting.
Good point there, Ross.
All right, well, we will hear what questions Robert Saleh is asked and what he has to answer those. And as the Titans will introduce their next head coach, Robert Saleh, coming up next. We'll play it live for you right here on 104.5 The Zone.
Can't wait.
Good afternoon from the Circus Sports of the Mint Kentucky Downs studio. I'm Ross Johnston. New Titans head coach Robert Saleh's introductory press conference will begin in a couple minutes here at 2 p.m. We will broadcast it live right here on Cover 2 on 104.5 The Zone TV. And if you are unable to watch on there, you will still be able to listen via radio right here on The Zone. For all your foundation repair, waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Welcome into Hour 2 of Cover 2. I'm Joe Spinano. Alongside me, the hitman Blaine Bishop, as we are moments away from hearing for the first time Titans head coach Robert Saleh address the media as his introductory press conference is set to begin in just a minute. We'll hold here until we see that beautiful bald head come onto the screen, Blaine. And we'll move over to him and let him take it. I know we were just joking about this, but I think it's a real question that someone could ask about his little feud with Jacksonville Jaguars head coach Liam Cohen. Do you think someone would ask about that? What kind of response do you think he'd give? Something
I hope
maybe
he said, yeah, we're going to bring a can of whoop ass.
You know what? That would do it. I think that would do numbers.
Leave it like that. Yep.
I'd be interested to see if someone takes that route and brings up that little feud he's got with them.
Let it rip.
Another question that I asked you during the break is if you thought that Amy Adams Strunk, Titans owner, will speak. And I think we both came to the conclusion that she'll probably give a prepared statement, but probably won't ask or won't take questions. Yeah. Which
it's Salah's day.
Yeah, it is Salah's day. She doesn't need to ask questions. Yeah. You know, I was taking a look at that poll that we put out on Wednesday about
yesterday.
Amy, or was that yesterday? Oh, sorry, my week's been all messed up with this snow. About this, and I believe a majority of people said they do have a more positive view. 56% of people said they had a more positive view of Amy Adams Strunk after the coaching hires. 44% of people said no. You surprised by that number?
Nah, not really. Because I think people just got to believe Berganzi, but she still had the AOK. Watch this. Why is Matt Nagy not the head coach?
We heard the initial reports.
Oh, I wonder how that didn't happen. Because somebody said, So, yeah, I think she should get all the credit. She has to AOK everything that happens with the organization. She is the owner.
That's right.
So she should get some credit.
That's right. We're still waiting as I've got the loading screen up in front of me. Ross does too, as we're waiting for Robert Saleh or whoever's going to introduce Saleh to come up to the podium for that to officially start.
Probably getting the whole Saleh squad into the room. And
yeah. You know,
I thought it would change. It would be on time now that Callahan's gone. Now the pressers are still late.
So that,
this is not prompt, and Saleh should get up there immediately and say, I'm thoroughly disappointed that we started this late. I am a prompt guy. Can't you tell? I have to be with 8 children.
All right. We are officially live. Let's head over to the facility to hear from Robert Saleh.
I'm on a little bit of a delay here.
Oh.
You got to hang on.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
Now let's go.
Go.
When we get to Q&A, it'll be at the table, and we'll have mics that we can pass around. Please state your name, affiliation, and then who your question is directed to, okay? Mike, come on up.
Hi, good afternoon. Before we get started here today, I'd just like to first recognize the essential workers that have been out in our community the last 5 days, helping all that have been impacted by this ice storm here this past weekend. It's not lost on me or our team here, the effort and work that's going on to help to get this city back up and running. We know that it's an ongoing process, and we're just thankful for the people that are working tirelessly to help. Well, this is a special day here. I want to thank everyone for being here. We are very excited. It's an exciting day here for the Tennessee Titans organization and fan base as we are set to introduce our new leader and head coach. I would like to first thank Amy for her unwavering support throughout this head coaching search, as well as Kenneth and Burke for their belief and trust in our process. There's been a lot of time and effort here invested to get to this day here today. I couldn't have done it without the help of so many people, particularly our search committee that we put together with Chad, Dave, Dan, and Reggie. Thank you. You know, when I first met with the committee, I thought it was important to clearly define what we wanted in our next head coach. Ultimately, what we wanted was a leader for this football team that could build a winning culture and connect the entire building. We were looking for a leader with high character, integrity, humility, a leader with high football IQ and great teaching skills, a leader with clearly defined standards that had the ability to hold people accountable in this organization, a leader with a clear vision, plan, and process for this team, a leader with a high level of organization and detail. And finally, we wanted a leader that was relentless and committed and had a passion for this job. After a long, extensive search process, that leader for us was Robert Salah. I've long admired Robert from afar, competing against his teams over the years. The one thing that always stood out to me was his energy and passion that he exhibited on the field. And one of the big takeaways for me is I used to stand pregame on the field and watch Robert with his players, and sometimes go down after the game and be on the sideline. His players loved playing for him. I'm just thrilled now that all you guys here, our players, have an opportunity to play for Coach Salah. I am so excited here to get started to work with him, to build this together into a championship caliber team that our Titans fan base can be proud of. It's an honor to introduce the next head coach of the Tennessee Titans, Robert Salah.
What's up, everybody? I'm not big on, I'm going to pull my inner Mike McDaniel. I'm not a big opening statement guy, but I do want to thank a lot of people, starting with the Tennessee Titans, and especially Miss Amy for this opportunity. Chad, Mike, it's been an unbelievable experience just going through this entire process. The San Francisco 49ers, the York family, the Shanahan family, the fans, just everybody over there, just so thankful for the opportunities they gave. My family, just being by my side, my wife, my kids, my parents are here, my brother, just thankful for all of them. And obviously, the most important piece to all of this, our players who are all back there. Can't wait to work with y'all, man. It's going to be freaking fun. We're going to get after it day after day. We're going to get better. We're going to bring a championship home, and it's going to start with you guys. But with that said, I'll open it up to you guys, and I'm looking forward to this. Good.
Great. All right, we'll start Q&A. We'll start with Teresa over here, and then we'll circle around, okay, guys? Just raise your hand, and we'll get to all of you, okay?
Hi, Robert. Teresa Walker with the Associated Press. This being your second time around as a head coach, what's maybe the biggest lesson that you take into this second time from your first chance?
You know, I'll be honest, like, there's no handbook to a first time at anything you do, you know? And what I would say, the proper question would be, what didn't I learn? You know, and there's so much to gain from any time you're in the chair as a head coach, and there's so many learning experiences that I had. So I can sit here and talk to you for the next 4 hours about all those different things, but I can assure you that there was tremendous growth through the opportunity that I had with the Jets, and through that growth, I think I'm more prepared now than I've ever been to attack this position.
Hi, Robert. Paul Kuharski from paulkuharski.com. Can you walk us through a bit your plan for Cam Ward and how you and Brian expect to get the most out of him heading into his second year and into his career?
No, absolutely. Great question, too. You know, like Cam, from everything that I've gathered, just all the discussions I've had throughout the building and throughout the league, comes with an elite work ethic, elite character, an elite person. And, you know, when you look at his body of work as a rookie, a lot of these rookies, when they come in through the middle of OTAs. But so the biggest thing that we're going to work with Cam, just going all the way back to the beginning, you know, we've gotten a whole off season to work with him, take him back to the very, very beginning, both on the field, off the field, the process at which what it looks like to not only be a professional with regards to preparation in his body, but as a professional with regards to preparing from a game planning standpoint or a playbook standpoint. But, you know, just talking with Dabes over the course of the last few weeks, he is the perfect man to match up with Cam and to maximize who he is. So again, we're really pumped to get to work with Cam and get him to where we all know he can be.
Robert, Jim White with TennesseeTitans.com. What do you want your team to look like on Sundays? What do you want them to be known for week in and week out?
Fast and violent, man. Play in and play out. We're going to play with speed. We're going to play confident. We're going to have some swag. Talk a little shit. But I want them to show who they are, play in and play out. And like I said, the one thing that you'll notice is the speed at which we play and the violence at which we do it.
Robert, Terry McCormick, Main Street Media Publications. Wanted to ask you about Brian Daboll and how much control you're going to give him of the offense and what that will look like or what you want it to look like.
You know, obviously, Dabes and I have a tremendous relationship dating back to our time in New York. Obviously on opposite sidelines, but great empathy for one another and just going through those experiences. But, you know, whenever you look at the dynamics of a head coach with his offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator, obviously it's no different than kind of the way Kyle kind of handled me as a defensive coordinator. You know, there's full autonomy with regards to game planning and putting together the playbook and the scheme that's best for this group of players. But at the same time, there's always going to be discussion in terms of what it's going to take between offense, defense, and special teams, what type of game plan we need to formulate in all three phases to win a football game. And week to week, that's always going to be different. But the communication, the collaboration, the expectations, all those will always be communicated amongst the entire staff. And the idea being that while there is three phases to football, we're still one team. And those discussions will always be had.
Go ahead. Nick Suss with the Tennessean. When you talk about the lessons you learned from New York, I'm curious, what are some of the specific things that you plan to do differently or you intend to do differently than obviously the Jets?
I don't know if we have time, man.
Let's start us off with some big ones.
There's little things. You know, I don't want to get in great detail on all that stuff just for sake of just individuality and all that. But, you know, just one thing, and it's such a small thing. You know, I didn't call plays in New York, and I just kind of gave it all to the coordinators, even though we were still part of the game planning and all that. You know, I joke with Borgo on game day when I didn't call plays. I felt like I was just a timeout and red flag guy. You know, I was just kind of I had the greatest seat in the house as a fan. You know, so you know, calling plays for me, it's not necessarily about control, but it's about connecting with the players. You know, when you are a play caller and you are calling plays, you feel the strain that you're putting on them with each call. You're feeling the connection. You're feeling what each one is going through. And again, like I said, I can feel the weight of the play call on individual players in those moments. And to be able to call plays and maintain that connection, maintain that feel for what the players are going through, I think is very, very important from my seat. And it's just one of the many things that'll change throughout my tenure.
Teron Davenport, ESPN. They call me TD.
TD?
Yes, sir. TD. Yes.
Okay.
My question is in regards to Brian Daboll, and as you competed against him and you look back on that, how much did that go into a level of difficulty going against him? Like, how much did that go into your selection? And with Daboll having the ties to the Perkins scheme, like, how much do you feel that's going to work for Cam?
You know, I think it's going to work great. There's a lot of layers to this one. First off, you know, and you know, Kyle Shanahan is one of the biggest, best offensive minds in all of football, period. And if you look at the NFL landscape right now, his offense and his influence is all over the league. Probably, I would argue, 80 to almost 90% of the league. And so Dave's is going to be different, So from a game planning standpoint, and I'm just speaking for myself, like as a defensive coach, you're going through it. Just looks like every offense is the same. But when you play the Tennessee Titans, it's going to be different. And so there is a level of game planning that's going to have to change within a week. So that's first. Dave's has had a history of developing young quarterbacks in this league in college and the different stops that he's had. And he's touched many from experience to youth. He has a tremendous amount of experience with tremendous quarterbacks all over. But, there's a lot of benefits to what he does as a defensive guy, game planning against Dave's. I can tell you that he's always going to strain you, both run and pass. He's going to find the run-pass conflicts within your scheme for individual players. He's going to attack the shit out of it. And again, excuse my language, but he's special in that regard. He's a problem to go against.
Hi, Coach Salah. Lauren Walsh with WSMV4 here in Nashville. You just described yourself as a defensive coach, and I think in these coaching cycles we see a lot of categorizations, offensive versus defensive types of head coaches. Do you subscribe to that? And how would you categorize yourself given somewhat of a mixture in your background between the two sides of the ball?
I don't. At the end of the day, and again, I maybe had a differentiation, I guess, or a thought when I first got a head job way back when. But after being in the chair, being in this chair isn't about offense, defense, special teams. It's about leading not just a group of players, but an entire building, and getting everybody on the same page and doing things in a way that help you win on Sunday. And so whether you're offense, defense, special teams, in this particular chair, I don't think it matters.
Hey, Coach. Chris Harris, also from WSMV4. We heard Mike talk about the qualities and leadership he was looking for. At the end of the season, we heard Jeffrey Simmons talk about how important a specific type of leader was for this team. What have you found to be the most effective way to lead?
Authenticity. I think, when you look at when you talk to players, they're grown men. They want to be treated like men. And they want to have discussions man to man, and they want to be told the truth. They always want to be they want to eliminate gray. They want things black and white. They want to know where they stand. They want the truth. They want to be held accountable. But most importantly, I think they want to know that you care more about them than just their jersey number. And I think that's very important with regards to connecting with these guys and understanding who they are, what makes them tick, and how to help them achieve their goals, not just on the field, but off the field. And I think that takes a lot of work that's beyond the film room. And so when you talk about my leadership qualities, it is important for us to connect with our guys. It is important to know what makes them all tick. And most importantly, obviously, it's our responsibility as coaches and our obligation as coaches to help them get to where they want to go.
Hey, Robert. Corey Curtis with News 2 here in Nashville. It's been reported that this was the team that you circled that you wanted to be the head coach of. Obviously, there have been some tough times here the last couple of years. What was it about this team that you were willing to stake your coaching future on it?
Yeah. Shamelessly, I probably did as much research on this organization and the people, the leadership committee in this organization than they probably did on me, and did a ton of research on everything I could in terms of from top all the way down. And what I found is that the people here are unbelievable, and getting a chance to meet everybody in person just was an affirmation to what I had already heard. And I'm a firm believer that people win championships, and this organization is built to win a championship because of the people, from obviously Miss Amy all the way down. The people here are unbelievable, and so that first and foremost is what drew me close to this organization.
Go ahead,
Buck Rising, 104.5 The Zone. Mike, for you, what stood out about Robert in the interview, and theoretically for both of you, what stood out about each other in the interview process that made this seem like a real fit?
Yeah, I mean, like Robert was saying, he did a lot of research on us, and we did a lot of research on you too, though. By the way. But a lot of the research that we did on Robert from places he's been,
was everything that we were looking for. When I laid out those leadership qualities, the people that we talked to, he exemplified all of it. I mean, we called coaches, we called scouts, we called players that he had coached before. And so then when we had the opportunity to bring him in, you could feel his leadership as soon as he walked in. Robert has a presence about him. And then he was very thoughtful in everything that he laid out, from the off-season program to training camp, the way he was going to do practices. He's very in tuned in the weight room as well, as you can see. He had a plan for everything. Player development was a big part of it. And that was one thing that we heard over and over again. He can develop players. Going through his plan for player development and the things he does with the coaches to develop his players. Obviously, the scheme that he's run. I mean, he's a high football IQ. And then really the biggest thing was the person too. Every person we called, Robert is a great human being. So when he talks about people, we want great people here. And that's a big part of it. So.
Appreciate you, man.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Paul.
Paul Kuharski again. I don't want to kick Brian out before he's in, but succession plans for successful offensive coordinators have been a thing here. And it's been reported that you presented one. If he has the success that you and the organization hope for here, what happens from there, and how do you plan for that in advance?
No, we're really excited about the staff that we've been able to assemble over the last week since we officially locked arms, if you will. But there's a plan. I think when you look at our staff, and obviously there's still some things that are fluid before we announce all of them to you, but we've got a tremendous mixture of experience and youth. We've got some young guys that'll be on the offensive staff that we feel are on the fast track to becoming coordinators. And like I said, for me, the succession plan comes from my seat in terms of what our plan is for each individual coach and how we develop them. I've talked about it before. The most cliche statement a coach can make is that it's our job to develop players. It's like, well, no kidding. Of course that's our job, but who are the people developing the coaches who are asked to develop the players? You can have a coach in the Stone Age that's developing his player, but his player's never going to leave the Stone Age. So how are we keeping our coaches up to date, evolving, staying ahead of the game, so our players are constantly evolving and staying ahead of the game? So we have a program for that to make sure that our coaches are constantly evolving and pushing the envelope of what they're capable of, no different than we're going to ask our players to push the envelope of what they're capable of. So to go back to your original question, there's a plan in place. It'll kind of be revealed once we start showing off revealing our coaches. But it goes beyond the name of the coaches that are involved. It's going to go to the development that we expect them to have.
Robert, Jill Johnlick, Fox 17 Sports. You mentioned what you want the team to look like on Sundays on the field. But when it comes to building the culture you want to see from this team in the locker room here in Nashville, what are the biggest keys you want to emphasize when starting to build those building blocks for the culture you want?
Now, again, it goes back to people, bringing in people who are capable of executing the vision of the entire organization. We're going to preach effort. We're going to preach strain. We're going to preach violence. We want great character individuals both on and off the field. And that's where Borgo and I, in terms of evaluations, is for checking the box on making sure that these young men are actually capable of doing that. That's what builds culture. And we'll always maintain that standard. We're going to, obviously, with the I've always said that the best coach teams are the teams that coach themselves, but in the beginning, it's going to come from us. And at a certain point, as this team becomes veteran and it takes off and it understands what the standard is, the players will maintain the standard. And at the end of the day, the standard will always be the standard. But it starts with people.
You've used all gas, no brakes, love and regard. Now what? So to use yours, now what?
Now we'll always be all gas, no brake, man. But it's the words are words. It's always going to come back to the silent tape and what we show on tape. That's our resume. That's who we are. And so whatever word we use to identify what we want, it's all fun. But at the end of the day, it's the tape. The tape will always show everything.
And I know you got to learn this team and watch tape to learn more about players. But of the guys you do know on this roster, what you've seen, whether it's Jeffrey Simmons, Jim Dake, a couple of Pro Bowlers, what have you noticed about players that you will have under you now?
We obviously played this group a little bit later, so we have a good feel for the young nucleus that's here, and there's a lot of exciting guys that we're all excited to work with. Obviously, there's still a lot of work to do with regards to evaluating the roster and getting with Borgo and his staff and seeing where we're at. But again, it's to be able to sit here and work with guys like Jeffrey and get to work with a guy like Cam and all the different pieces around him, and it's going to be really exciting to get this thing going.
Robert, when you talk about establishing a standard, what will it look like when the standard is set? How will people be able to recognize that your standard has been set?
Already said it, man. They're going to pop off the tape. You're going to feel like you're on the field with them with the energy, the juice, the speed, the violence. You're going to feel it from the living room. Sitting on your couch, you'll be able to feel this football team.
What do you feel like are, once you've got your staff in place, are kind of the first steps to kind of implement everything and get things going in the direction you want it?
Man, there's so much to do starting the day. I mean, you can call it Monday, which is the first report date for the coaching staff. But there's a lot of stuff to do, from implementing scheme to evaluating the roster to creating our profile tapes for Borgo in terms of what each position should look like, to evaluating draft prospects with Borgo and his staff and free agency. And then obviously getting our plan set for OTAs. So there's a lot of things in terms of, there's going to be a lot of multitasking in terms of, with a new staff coming in, there's a lot of things that need to happen. We'll set those schedules accordingly, but there's a lot of T's and a lot of I's that need to be crossed and dotted.
Coach Salah, Cortland Griffin with the three-point conversion. You spoke about connecting with players, but also setting the standard. How much is that is going to start with the younger guys like Femi Oladejo, Chim DK, like you said, it's Cam, and the other guys when they walk into the building and meet you for the first time?
It's everybody, young, veteran. It doesn't matter. The second you walk into this building, there's a standard, there's messaging, there's an expectation of what we do both the second we walk into the building. I'll say it a million times that the objective of life is to go to bed better than when you woke up. And if you don't have that intent, if you don't have that mindset, you're doing yourself a disservice, you're doing your teammates a disservice, you're doing your family a disservice. And so it doesn't matter who it is. If you're an employee of this organization or you are part of that locker room, the expectation is that you're finding ways to get better, and that'll always be at the front of everything we do.
Robert, you mentioned how the all gas, no brakes, those are just words, but behind those words, there's always ideas and beliefs and just ways to operate. For you, what is the root of that? Who are some of the people that have influenced you to have this high energy approach to playing football?
I kind of just said it with all gas, no brake. It's not just effort on the football field. It's how you approach life, how you approach regen. It's how you approach lifting. It's how you approach practice, your study habits. Again, and it's really applies to anyone in general. Applies to my wife and kids. You're waking up and you're going to bed better than when you woke up, with an intent to get better. That is the main focus of all of it. And I've said it before. My life completely changed when I got to Seattle in my early 30s. When you look at guys like Pete Carroll, Gus Bradley, Kenny Norton Jr., there's just so many people on that staff that influenced my life, and not only on the field and for terms of football, but off the field, to be a better father, a better friend, a better man, was a tremendous amount of learning for me. But Gary Kubiak, the Shanahan family, Papa Shanahan, Monty Kib, I can go with so many unbelievable coaches in this league's history that have had an unbelievable impact on me. But the trigger point for me, I had a little 3-month-old at the time, and just trying to figure out who I was as a person. Seattle couldn't have been a better spot for me.
Coach Salah, I don't know if you've thought this far ahead yet, but do you plan on running the stairs at Nissan Stadium, and why, if yes or no?
Yeah. No, for sure. I've been doing that since I was in a GA in college. It's just a way to kind of burn some steam before the game. Otherwise, I'd be a lunatic. But no, it's just a habit I've gotten into. Call it more superstition than everything. But yeah, I plan on it unless it gets too hot out there. But probably not.
All right, Mike Patton, touring the AFC South. You mentioned wanting to call the plays this time instead of letting the coordinators do so. In doing that, are you still going to be, active in all parts of the practice with the offense and defense, special teams as well?
Yeah, they're 100% still being active in all that stuff. Plan on not changing anything with regard to my role, especially having gone through it, and just it's not going to be any issue.
You talked about authenticity earlier and having to be yourself. I think there were times with the Jets you might have held it back a little bit. Do you plan on cutting it more loose this time around?
Well, that's part of it, right? What I've been talking about with regard to connecting with the players. What people don't really realize with these players and the amount of work that they put in for one play. You got a 3rd and 4, fourth quarter, critical situation. A player puts in hours and reps, and there's so much detail that goes into that one moment. And when that player executes that moment, what you see from me is I become a fan, and I become their parents. Just their biggest fans, and just elated for that person who just made that play. That's what you're seeing, and but it takes a connection, which goes back to why I have this desire to call plays to regain that connection, because again you feel the moment with the player, and but to answer your question, it'll probably come out more naturally than anything.
Robert, Junior Cooper, WSMV4. You mentioned developing these players. When you look at the roster and you see how young it really is, what level of excitement does it bring you to know you can kind of get your hands in there and mold these guys to these high-level players?
No, I'm like I said, I think I speak for everyone. We're really excited about the roster. You can call it a blank canvas if you want, but there's also some veteran leadership that you can't forget about. There's some really, really cool talent on this football team, and just excited to get to work with all of them.
Robert, Julian Minnesota, News 2 Nashville. What would you characterize a successful first season for you?
That's always a good question. Obviously, every team wants to win a Super Bowl. Every team wants to achieve the pinnacle of sports. That everybody does. But the realistic expectation is that this team understands what proper process looks like. Attacking every moment, attacking every day. Finding ways to get better every single day. And I know that's kind of cliche and kind of boring, but at the end of the day, we don't have control over the result of a football game. It's an oblong football. You don't know how it's going to bounce. But what we have control over is the way we attack our moments, the way we attack our day-to-day operation, the way we build confidence in our preparation so we can attack the heck out of Sunday to put ourselves in best position to get the result we want. And so from a successful being successful, what that looks like, I'll leave it up to you guys. But in this building, it's going to be about how we attack our moments.
Mike.
Robert. Oh, yeah. Ben Arthur, NFL on Fox. Robert, you've talked a lot about, just how important, you've emphasized multiple times just how important it is going to be to have, the right people in the building. But, a lot of people say that when they come in as coaches and whatnot. So what is it about your process that gives you confidence that you can actually bring in the people to set the correct tone for the culture in the building?
No, that's a great question. I think it takes a tremendous amount of discipline. I don't want to speak for Borgo, but I can speak on my history and how enamored we can get with tremendous length and speed and all the things that we think can make an unbelievable athlete. But at the same time, there's a discipline to making sure that the right people are in the building first before we go anywhere else. And we've had a history of it. I can in terms of bringing in the right guys and developing the right people. But like I said, I feel like our history kind of speaks for itself with regards to the development of these young guys.
Mike, we see Cam back there. Is there anything you could tell us about his progress and prognosis? And then Robert, you know, how quickly does Brian communicate with his quarterback guy? How much can you and Brian talk to him about what you want him to do now, and based on the prognosis, what can he do?
Yeah, I will say that he is currently, you know, rehabbing, and I don't want to give a specific timetable when he's going to be back, but he's doing well. He's doing well.
As far as when we can contact, you know, we'll always have friendly conversations, but you know, there's different things that we can do from a football standpoint within the rules of the CBA. You know, so we plan on taking advantage of all those.
Will Brian talk to his quarterback guy, and will you have communication that way?
Hopefully, these are all things that we've got to discuss over the next week.
Robert, you mentioned the amount of research you did on the Titans before you took the job. What were the questions that you were looking to get answers to before you were comfortable taking the job?
Yeah, it's about people. You know, just trying to figure out the people. You know, obviously first and foremost, Miss Amy. You know, and from everything I've gathered, she's an unbelievable human, and the resources that she's put into this organization is like nothing I've ever seen before. She's, for lack of a better word, putting her money where her mouth is in terms of how much she loves this team, how much she loves this city, how much she loves the people in this organization. And, you know, but starting with her and working on down to everybody within the building, it's been, like I said, the people here and the conversations I've had, just trying to figure out who's real, who's authentic, and who's not. Be hard pressed to find someone to say something bad about the people in this building.
Last three, we'll start with TD.
You mentioned how important feel for the game is for you. Where are you as far as measuring that against analytics? And we know it's been a part of the way people coach, tendencies, right?
Yeah,
that's another
forever.
word
There
for
you
it.
go.
But where are you as far as weighing those two things against each other?
Yeah, analytics is just a gathering of information. We've been doing it forever, but there's this new age of football, right, where there's more numbers, there's more information, and I think there's still it's all still within the moment. You know, the new age of football is really a new set of information, but it's still our responsibility to make the decision that's best for the football team. It's not as simple as a book is telling you whether or not to go for it. The book doesn't account for weather. It doesn't account for whether or not Jeffrey Simmons is up against their third string guard. It doesn't account for any of that. So there's still decisions that need to be made, and we can get more detail later on how I go through that process. But it's information. It's information that we welcome, and but at the end of the day, we still have to take all that information and make the decision that's best for the team.
Anything else? All right.
All right.
Close.
Thanks, guys.
Everyone.
Appreciate you guys.
All right. That was new Titans head coach Robert Saleh. I can definitely see why he won over some of the guys in that committee that was in charge of hiring him. We'll get Blaine's reaction when we come back, and your reaction if you want to call in, 615-737-1045. This is Cover 2 on 1045 The Zone. Welcome back into Cover 2 on 104.5 The Zone. Brought to you by All Four Seasons Garage Doors. Blaine, we heard the head coach, Robert Saleh, speak for the first time. What's your initial reaction to what you heard from Coach Saleh?
Man,
there?
you didn't get jacked? I was jacked. Even with some of the coach speak, what you got to expect. It's coming with it, all gas, no brakes. Oh, man, as soon as he said that, I wanted to just, I started getting a little chill bumps there, man.
Felt like you'd back to get on the field, huh?
Violent, what did he want out of the team? Violent.
Talking bleep.
Yeah, I was, oh, man, I was pumped, man. But, I was already pumped before the interview. You can understand that he's definitely a coach's coach because he let a couple of words slip out of there. People get to see a little bit behind the scenes. It's not like that. They not over there, oh, everything's going to be okay, Blaine. Nah, man, if you don't get that stuff fixed, you're going to be out of here, bro. Mm-hmm. So think about that for a second. So, yeah, it was all good. He's a ball coach. The one thing that stood out, and this is something that I said probably a couple weeks ago and that I firmly believe in, you want great people. If he's a great person, everything else will fall into place. And I know that sounds very broad, and a lot of people are like, oh, no, that's enough. No, that means he cares about his job. He's going to do everything he can to make sure he gets the best, not only out of himself, but his coaches and his teammates and his players. Players. So, and you could hear that all through him. And then if you do your background work, which I did talking to a lot of different people in the league, so I was excited as heck this with Robert Saleh. That doesn't mean he's going to have success and all those things, but I think you're checking a box that everything will go according to plan, and he's going to fight through every hurdle that he gets, especially this second go-round, because he knows he won't get another shot as a head coach. So, I'm super excited. I think all the Titans fans should be super excited. We really got 3 head coaches. Mm-hmm. And I don't think it's going to be an issue with anybody's ego or anything, because I think all those people are of the same ilk as he is. They all want to win, and they know that means that they will get elevated to another level. Well, that's coach of the year to offensive coordinator of the year to another job. All of that's going to take care of itself. So, yeah, I was pleasantly happy with the presser.
It is very easy to see why Mike Bergonzi and Chad Brinker and Amy Adams Strunk bought into what this guy had to sell. He sells it very well. He sells himself very well. He sells his vision very well. It's very direct. It's like, he's not talking through a bunch of hoops. Like he's telling you what he means. There's a little bit of edge to him when he's kind of describing.
And most defensive coaches do.
Yeah. And so it's a little bit of a shock, I guess, coming from what we heard from Callahan to now Saleh, and they are 2 very different styles of leaders. I think we can see that in just one
Did you think
press
Denard
conference.
Wilson had edge?
I could see a little bit, yeah.
When he spoke.
I think it almost got drained out of him this past season.
Yeah, well, that's a good point.
I'll tell you what, and I don't know about y'all, but this was my favorite quote, and I think it, was a great quote. Him talking about, you will feel us from your couch on the living room watching us play. And to me, Blaine, that is a coach saying we have a set standard in this building, and we are going to make sure all of our guys live up to that standard and show that on the field. It's not just going to be something we preach. It's going to be something that's actually lived out week by week and game by game.
Yeah. He's going to be holding people accountable.
Well, one thing that I don't feel like I've heard from a lot of head coaches, especially in these introductory press conferences, is how he talked about the development of his coaching staff. Because everyone wants to focus on the players. I hate developing the players. Well, he kind of branched away from that, and he goes, well, in order to develop the players the way that they need to develop in this league, you have to start with the coaching staff. Those guys got to learn to evolve and to continue to grow if we want to do anything successful on the field with the players, which I found very, very comforting, I guess, to hear your head coach bring that up naturally.
Yeah, that was kind of interesting that he spoke it out loud. I think Vrabel's staff, he did the same thing. It was just the first time that you heard someone say it publicly.
Yeah,
but you're always developing your coaches, and the leader of your coaching staff is the head coach. So obviously, that's why they're sitting in the meetings. That's why I thought it was really odd Callahan wasn't sitting in the meetings.
Yeah,
because you want to make sure your coaches are actually coaching them the way you want to coach them. And then also some head coaches are learning, especially if it's the side of the ball or position group they're not real familiar with as much. They want to be in the meeting room so they can kind of understand what you're teaching them. And that way they all understand what game plan that's going into that game, what we're going to implement and how the player's supposed to play. So it works hand in hand at the same time. But, yeah, it starts with the coaches. And it's about development. Yeah, no doubt. And that's the part I keep saying that's missing, and that is fundamentals. It sounds boring. I'm going to tell you one thing right now. When I watch games, and what made me successful and a lot of players successful is you master the fundamentals. I think that's a lost art now in the National Football League. I think a lot of guys just play off of talent, and that's not good enough because the guys you're playing against are just as good or better than you.
It's not college anymore where you
it
can
gets
just
boring,
out-talent
but
somebody.
once you master the fundamentals, the game will slow down and it'll be easier.
Well, and you
Comes
heard
from
him.
coaching.
You heard him when he was talking about Cam Ward that they're going to go back to the basics with
always all the players.
When,
not just
yeah,
Cam.
yeah, and he specifically said with Cam Ward, but yes, all the players. And one thing I liked that I heard when he was talking about Brian Daboll, in talking about what they were going to do to
He called him
implement
Dable. He called him Dable. Yeah, like variable, Dable.
He called him
Can I say
Dabes.
that? No, okay.
Lots of nicknames.
He called him Dabes.
Oh, he called him Dabes.
Dabes, like Braves. Yeah.
Oh no,
Dabes,
like. Oh no, that's not like Bab.
Close. Maybe.
Same concept.
What if he would have said
Same
Babs? I
concept,
would have
different
busted
font.
out laughing.
He'll probably say Babs today. He loves the nicknames.
Yeah, might. Yeah, one thing he mentioned about Dable is how the offense of playbook that they're going to implement is going to be based off the players. And I know adaptability is the biggest thing that we've learned about Brian Dable in the offense. And to hear that that's a big reason why that they targeted him as their next offensive coordinator, or at least what Salah is, that his adaptability and ability to come in here and work with Cam Ward and find what best fits with him. Forget all the how long is he going to be here stuff. I mean, just doing that to start and getting Cam Ward comfortable in the NFL and finding what works for him in the NFL, I think is going to be a huge first step. And it's very comforting that Salah was able to land a guy like Dable to come in here and do that.
Yeah, I think that's the strength of, Dable is, that he caters the offense around the strengths of the actual player. And that's what really good coaches do. That's one thing that I kept, wrestling around with Callahan. I thought he ran a good system, but he didn't know how to implement the system and play to the strengths of the actual individual players. And that's starting with the quarterback and then the wide receiver and all the tools that he had in the tool belt there to make it happen. Because that became real, like, wow, he can't do it. When was a time that when he was the coach, two receivers had a good day? When he couldn't figure out how to have Hopkins and whoever the other guy really could
It
have.
was always one or the other. You're right.
See, he couldn't understand how to implement it all together. And that was it was like, you know a system and you trying to get the perfect players to fit the system. You're never going to have that. You're never going to have the perfect players for your system.
And look at what Dable did this year with the Giants. Malik Neighbors goes out with injury, their number one guy. Look at Wan'Dale Robinson, how he exploded. That's, something unforeseen happened to us, a little bit of adversity. We're going to make work with what we've got and, be players over just the system overall.
And with the roster, and listen, it'll get a little bit better with free agency in the draft as long as Mike Bergonzi continues on the trend that we kind of saw last year. But the roster's still not going to be where you want it.
No.
Right? You can't just do it after 1 year. So that is very comforting knowing that you're bringing in a guy, both a head coach and an offensive coordinator that are seen and that coach like that because of the state of the roster. You got to work with what you got. And unfortunately, the Titans right now don't have a whole lot. So if we can get the guys in here in this coaching staff that are going to get the most out of that roster, that's all you can ask for and to start stepping in the right direction.
Yeah, that's what we've been talking about. So, I'm excited just for the hire in itself. But, to me, there's no other way of coaching. Once you can't do that, then you shouldn't be in coaching. You learned it from a book. And see, book and then how to implement it is two different things.
And that's kind of where
There's
we
a
felt
lot of people like that, but maybe you shouldn't be as high level of a coach if you're like that, because you're going to have injuries. You're not going to have all your tools. There's going to be a vast array of things. So I've only worked with coaches like that. So I thought it was weird like that we didn't have that.
It's definitely going to be a culture shock for fans from Callahan to Salah. You can feel that after hearing him speak, and it's a good thing.
Well, watch this. Who was their best pass rusher for the 49ers? I didn't watch 49ers, but I know they didn't have a big-time elite pass rusher because of all the injuries,
all got
right?
hurt, yeah.
Well, guess what? He adapted and changed how he went about his business.
Yes, he did.
That is called coaching. Good coaching.
Enjoy Big Jeff.
Oh, well, he's
Andre
gonna be
Sweat.
a monster.
Yeah.
Femi.
And whoever else we get.
And whoever else comes in.
I don't know. Whoever's the fourth pick.
More reaction to Robert Saleh's head press conference as 3HL comes up next. Blaine and I will dive back into more what we heard from Robert Saleh tomorrow. We'll also preview whatever's coming up in the weekend. So that'll be coming up tomorrow as a Friday on Covered 2.
Since this is Saleh Day, we're not going to do our normal break. We're going to go say, no gas.
All gas, no brakes.
Oh, all gas, no brakes.
All gas, no brakes.